What's up, guys? Today I'm going to be doing the transmission fluid and filter on this 2005 Grand Marquis, and I'm also going to be changing the torque converter clutch solenoid. So right now I'm just kind of showing you guys the condition of this fluid. This fluid is not burnt up or anything like that. I actually changed this fluid myself about 30,000 miles ago. So here it is on a white rag. You can see that it's still pretty red. It's a little bit brown, but definitely not in a condition that would make me worried to change it. So we got the car lifted up. We're going to start taking out the bolts for the pan. These are 10 millimeters, and we're going to start towards the back, like towards the rear of the car, because that's the way the pan wants to lean whenever you start taking these bolts out. So whenever you take these bolts out, obviously fluid is going to start coming out, and it's going to start coming out this way. So this is really just the best way to do it. Start towards the rear of the car and then work your way up. You'll need a extension and a short 10 millimeter socket to get those bolts near the frame of the car next to the transmission. There we go. Now she's flowing. So you may want to give this a second to drain. Make sure you got something to catch that fluid with. Now that all that fluid's out, mostly, you can start to take off the rest of the bolts, and be careful because there's definitely going to be some left in that pan. So whenever you're going to take the last few bolts out, you're going to want to put a hand on that pan. That way you don't drop the pan down and drop all that fluid. Here I'm showing you all the metal that's been collected on that magnet, and it's a little bit, but again, that it's pretty normal, and the fluid is still a decent color. You want to take some brake cleaning a rag and get that magnet real clean. You're also going to want to clean the pan very thoroughly, especially that outer edge. This is me taking the filter down. You can give it a wiggle, and you're going to lose some more fluid too. They usually aren't too bad coming off. Like I said, you can just give it a wiggle, and it should pop out pretty easily. There's that torque converter clutch solenoid that we're going to be replacing. But first, you're going to have to take out this little plastic wiring harness, a lead frame, they call it. So the two on the outside, the two connectors on the outside, they come off fairly easy, but the two in the middle are a little tough. So I have this little pocket pry bar here, and I'm kind of wiggling it back and forth. And you want to be pretty gentle with this thing, because if you break that, you're in some trouble. So after you've got that lead frame down, there is a long 8 millimeter bolt that you'll have to take out to remove another set of solenoids to reach that torque converter clutch solenoid. On the other side, there's going to be a short little 10 millimeter that you have to take out. You'll wiggle that set of solenoids. They're held in by O-rings now. There are those O-rings. Make sure they didn't roll off whenever you take the solenoids out. And now it's time to get that torque converter solenoid. Here's our old one lined up next to our new one. And this is basically just reminding you to check your parts, make sure your fitment's good, and make sure everything looks the same. Here's the new one inside the transmission. You can just plug that thing right up in there, you'll have to put that other set of solenoids in, and then you'll be able to put your bolts back in. Now it's time to go back in with that lead frame, and you can start with the connectors in the middle, basically the reverse of how we took it out. If you've never done this kind of work before, it can be a little intimidating, but it's a pretty simple job. You just got to make sure you do everything right. That one connector for the lead frame on the driver's side, I've heard it can not go in all the way, or it may have issues. So if you fire the car up and you have a check engine light, that's probably the culprit. So yeah, just go around, make sure that thing's set in there real solid, tug on it a little bit, make sure it's not going to pop out real easy. This is me putting the filter in. If you're doing this yourself, you may feel a little pop whenever it goes in. Mine kind of just slid in tightly. I'm used to doing the Motorcraft ones. This is a Duralast filter, and it didn't really pop in, but it did slide in pretty snugly. You can go ahead and line up the new gasket on your transmission pan, and we've got the pan back up there now. Again, you'll have to use an extension and a 10 millimeter to get those bolts near the cross member in. And now you're going to go in a crisscross pattern and torque down this transmission pan. It doesn't have to be crazy tight. This is an aluminum pan going into an aluminum case. So, like I said, you don't have to go crazy on these things, but you do have to make sure that gasket is set evenly and make sure that everything's tight. I don't normally torque everything down to spec, but this is what I like to call 1/4 inch ratchet tight. The most important thing is to make sure everything's snug and that the gasket gets pushed in evenly. Now I'm going to go up top, and I'm actually going to use some of this Shutter Fix by Lube Guard. And I'm going to go in with it before I go in with the fluid. And now I'm going to fill this thing up with this gallon of transmission fluid. This is Valvoline Max Life ATF. I've heard really good things about this product. After you've got those 4 quarts of fluid in there, it's time to fire up the car, and you're going to cycle through all of the gears. Leave the car in each gear for about 7 seconds and maybe cycle through all the gears 2 or 3 times. Just back and forth from park all the way down to first gear. Now you can see my fluid is at about the bottom of the dipstick. We're going to keep filling it up, and as the car keeps heating up, this fluid's going to expand, so gradually add fluid. And here's the dipstick with the car full of transmission fluid. Thank you guys for watching. I wanted to say this is my most expensive YouTube video to date, but I appreciate your support, and I want to let you guys know that I really love doing this YouTube thing. So thank you for watching. If you have any questions, you can leave me a comment.